When we put things together, we make sure it becomes better. It's all about going beyond. We design spaces where you can live your life, enjoying today's modern comforts and tomorrow's unique luxuries. Your home is in the middle of a neighborhood propelled by progress. At the heart of Bridgetown, the destination estate where the passion for life radiates. Live a life beyond compare in a place that inspires victors. The Velaris Residences. Unrivaled.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Lamudi webinar episode titled How to Choose a Property to Invest in During a Pandemic. This webinar is in partnership with RHK Land Corporation, a joint venture with international property leader Hongkong Land and local real estate experts Robinsons Land Corporation. My name is Deborah, Head of Corporate Affairs at Lamudi Philippines, and joining me today are two guests. We have our first panelist, Mr. Lee Chee Hoe, Chief Representative of Hongkong Land, as well as Mr. Henry Yap, Business Unit General Manager of Robinsons Land and President of RHK Land Corporation. Chee Hoe and Henry, thank you for joining us today. Do you have any advice for investors who are concerned about the economic outlook right now? What words would you have for these investors?
I think it is very important for any investor to look at the reputation of the companies. And we are fortunate that these two strong partnerships will be able to deliver the projects. In many of the projects that we've seen during economic crisis, the biggest problem of that developer is that they would run out of cash. Why? Because there is a slowdown in the sales of their unit. And unfortunately for a boutique developer, they might not have enough funds to cover their loans, their borrowings, to pay up for their costs. So eventually what they're receiving is just enough to cover their expenses and not really be able to funnel that to the completion of the project. As a big developer like RLC and Hongkong Land, we have the muscle to provide the funds we can generate from the different businesses that we have, so we can ensure continuity of the construction of the project. Moreover, on a day-to-day basis, we can observe that during the lockdown, we can still provide business continuity. A small developer might not be able to do that. They may have to close shop. They may not be able to provide the servicing to the clients. As a big developer, we can still run skeletal force and we can continue to service our clientele, and that is why it is important to look at the background of the companies that are developing the project.
Thank you, Henry. So besides reliability, now let's touch on the topic, right, of valuation and appreciation. Now, throughout history, we all know that real estate values have always grown, especially in the Philippines at this stage. Right now, given this unique situation, if I was an investor right now, how can I be sure that the value of my investment is going to appreciate, especially in the short run?
Okay, at the start, since we are developing a pre-selling project normally would have its prices start at a lower figure. But over time, as with any other major developers, we would regularly increase our prices. So there alone, you already have a guaranteed price appreciation over time. Second, ideally, you would want to locate your project in a greenfield area where there is potential for growth. And just as your building is appreciating in prices, the values of your properties, around the township or the destination also increases, pushing further the value of your specific unit. As you know, the value of your unit includes your own plus the community around it. So as the community land prices increase, so is the value of your investment. Three, there are opportunities when you invest early, because here is when people are willing to give you good terms, give you softer terms, which you may not be able to do in a very, very strong market. Because here, when we reach already a strong market, it becomes the seller that is dictating what they want to do. So all of these are actually good opportunities for seasoned investors.
Thanks, Henry. Chee Hoe, to get your thoughts, do you agree?
Oh, totally agree with what Henry has mentioned. I think the buyers would also should look at the product itself, for looking for well-designed units, not just in terms of the aesthetic from the outside, where it will last for a long time, and also looking into the internal space planning of a condo to make sure that it's practical, it's comfortable for you to stay for a long run, and also look for a project that would take care of your future as well, in terms of the well-being, in terms of the amenities. I think these are the very little things that one should look into a project, besides what we have mentioned about the reliability, the experience of the developer delivering the products. I think these little things that will ensure that the project will last for a long time is also very important.
Thank you, Chee Hoe. Interesting point. So you've covered a little bit some things that investor or property buyer should be looking out for when they make their next purchase, right? Now, I'd like to move on to talk about the Velaris a little bit more. So about RHK's pilot project. Now, as the first project of a powerhouse joint venture between Robinsons and Hongkong Land, is there anything that makes the Velaris unique? Chee Hoe, perhaps we can start with you.
Oh, yes. In terms of the design itself, I think that's where Hongkong Land excel in terms of design innovations. It's something that we pay attention to, making sure that the intention design for the space is well looked into, making sure that it is functional and practical, and making sure that the finishes that we are promising to the buyers are also something of good quality and for the comfort of the buyers. And not only that, we look into the execution. I think as you see the concept as during our pre-selling, you get to know what we offer, but at the end of the day, it's the execution to ensure that this project is delivered with the kind of quality and also the kind of promises that we have promised to the buyers. And realizing this vision is something that Hongkong Land and Robinsons would want to make sure that we are able to carry this out for the next few years as we go through the construction stage. So, so these are the little things that we go through in detail, especially with Henry working with the team that we come up with the Velaris Residences.
Thank you, Chee Hoe. You covered a little bit about design, construction, and that quality finish that Hongkong Land brings to the table. Now, I'd like to move into Henry a little bit. Henry, could you tell me a bit more about the location that this project is in?
Yes, as they said, the best project to choose is a project that has the best location. And here we have the Velaris located in Bridgetown, our newest estate development. Here, we have selected a site just across the bridge that connects Quezon City and Pasig. And we have the block where the Velaris is located across the main park of the township, as well as smaller park at the back. So if you look on both sides, you can actually see large span of greens, and you can also see the CBT nearby. But the other thing that is most or prominent that we can highlight is how Hongkong Land have helped us design the sense of arrival when a buyer or a resident eventually arrives in Velaris. That sense of arrival is outstanding. Not only that, once he enters the facility, for those who will buy the bigger units, the 2BR, the 3BR, or the penthouse unit, they will have access to an exclusive elevator that they are the only users of that elevator on their floor. Not everybody can enjoy that luxury. But in addition, Hong Kong Land has also helped design a plan for us where not only are the people on the penthouse able to share the views, but all the other residents can have access to the facilities on the topmost floor. So even if they do not necessarily buy a penthouse unit, they can enjoy a life of a person living in a penthouse unit.
All right, Henry, interesting points over there. Now, you mentioned green spaces, greater privacy and access, and a life worth living, right? Now, it's especially relevant right now in a pandemic. Do you feel like, just to get your thoughts on it, do you feel like as a result of the pandemic, has any of these points become more important to property buyers these days?
Yes, they are. First, during the lockdown, the greatest concern of a resident is freshness of air. And in a condominium where you're across two parks, you can be guaranteed at least that there are no pollution in that area, or at least the pollution can be controlled in that area. Second, because we are located in a township, and eventually when this building is built, we will be very near all those things that we want. Like, for example, want to be in a grocery, or if in a larger scale, a supermarket. Or if I need to go to the office, I can be within walking distance of my place. These are very important considerations during a lockdown because, as we know, and we've experienced here in the Philippines, we cannot travel far, or there are restrictions in movement of people. So if you can just move across the area, or within the few distance away from your area, that would be the most ideal.
Thank you, Henry. Interesting points over there. Now, my next question has to do with amenities, right? Let's talk amenities. Now, as we know on Lamudi, especially from the perspective of property seekers, features and amenities of a high-end property are very important to attract interest from property seekers, especially in the initial phase. Now, I'm aware that Hong Kong Land has an important part to play in the design of the amenities. So I'm going to move this to Chee Hoe. Chee Hoe, could you tell us a little bit more about the features and amenities of this project?
For Velaris, when we look into the development of this condo, we are not only looking into the space that you're going to stay, not just the home that you're going to live. We are also looking into the lifestyle of the buyers, of the tenants, that is going to enjoy when they are living in the Velaris. So we cater for the young, to the executives, to the people who would want to have leisure activities within the compound of the Velaris. And we have games room, kids playground and pool for the young. For those who are active, we have gym, pool, onsen, and a dance room and yoga room. And for those who like to have leisure, we have even the wine room, the gourmet dining areas, a sky lounge, and also a landscape garden. So you will see that there's a whole lots of activities one can find within the Velaris Residences. So they are not just confined to their space that they have bought. So these areas become an extension of their home, which is very important, like what we have just talked about during this pandemic time, when stay home is encouraged. So these are the things that they can look forward to, without going to a club that they probably need to travel. And all these are club-like facilities, all within their compound and within walking distance. So we believe these are very important features that will attract the buyers to consider, especially this kind of situation, where it has become very important for them to enjoy all these kind of luxuries within their compound rather than going out, to other places to get the kind of club facilities.
Thank you, Chee Hoe. Interesting point over there. So you say the property, the condominium as a whole, being an extension of an owner's home. Do you see this to be the trend?
Yes, I think there are people who try to do this as well. Many developers are trying to do that. But in terms of the kind of activities that Velaris is able to provide, I think we are one of the developers who really provide the activities that are a lot in terms of what we can offer. And it's also depending on the luxury level that one can enjoy. Many people can provide the pool, many people, but we are going to provide an onsen, despite just a Olympic-sized pool. So there are a lot of other things that other developers are doing as well. But I think we just raised the bar a little bit for our project, so that people feel the kind of luxury they are buying into.
Thank you, Chee Hoe. Now, I have a few questions next. Now, this is more regarding the purchase of the property and how it would realistically happen under a GCQ right now in Manila, right? So I'm going to move towards Henry. Henry, right now under GCQ in the Philippines, in Manila, many people have still been hesitant to leave their homes for non-essential purposes. Now, people might be worried about physical showroom visits, and I'd like to know a bit more about RHK and how an investor or property seeker right now can still proceed with their purchase despite the restrictions outside.
Okay. Most of our buyers now can access our sellers online. We are digitally connected through the web, through social media, and they can actually interface with our sellers. They can, in fact, set appointments online. And on the extreme, if they wish to really visit our showrooms, we are also open. But I would also want to share with you that our sellers are provided with marketing materials that they can distribute or they can forward to potential buyers. So a buyer who is very conscious about personal interface can actually receive many of these digital materials ahead of time. And should they have more questions, they can connect either by email or by various online platforms to connect with our sellers. In extreme instances where they would really want to visit our showrooms are actually open, but we require that visitation of clients be done through appointment, so that we can ensure that we limit the number of people inside our showrooms. And once you get into our showrooms, we have the health protocols. We require our clients to fill up our health declaration forms, so that they are guided, so our people are guided if there are any concerns about their health at the moment. At the same time, we provide regular disinfection of our model units. We also provide stickers where people can stay, so that when there are more people, they don't come close to each other. So these are some of the features that we incorporate in our showroom. So for those who really still want to go there, then they will feel protected.
Thank you, Henry. So from what you're saying, it is still available should a buyer want to visit a showroom today?
Yes, they are. But as I said, what you can see in the showroom, we also have it in digital format, so that they can access them instantly if they wish to do so.
Great. So am I right to say that a buyer can complete their purchase end to end without being physically present?
Yes, they can. We can actually send our registration forms. They can scan their documents, and they can pay us online as well. So all of this is possible. And after this, they can also print some of the document themselves. They can send it, and then they can be picked up by the courier or send it by courier. All of these are available right now, and we make it very easy for our buyers and our sellers to be able to close the transaction in the shortest possible time.
Thank you, Henry. So now that that's out of the way, right, the purchase is still available, and a buyer can still proceed with the necessary steps to complete their purchase right now during GCQ. Now, my next question has to do with trends that have been reported these days, right? And now in Manila especially, we've seen recent reports of property seekers shifting their preferences from purchasing location-wise from within Metro Manila to more provincial areas right now. Right now, investors who are concerned or interested in investing in the Velaris Residences might be concerned about these reports. Now, I wanted to get your insights on the matter. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, I think that report is true, but it has to do also with the type of projects that are being promoted. The Velaris project is very different from the projects that we would normally develop outside of Metro Manila. It's a high-end, luxurious projects, and I don't believe that you will find many of those outside of Metro Manila. Still, I believe Manila is where you want to have a home. Anybody who are well-to-do also outside of Metro Manila would still consider investing in Metro Manila. So when they want to do business in the metropolis, or their children wants to study in the top universities here in the metropolis, they will always continue to have a place called home. So the fear of investors going out to the provinces, I think, is misplaced for this category of investors.
Now, before we wrap up, I'd like to know, now that we know more about the project, now that I might be interested in purchasing a unit, Henry, perhaps for investors, how would I go about this?
Okay, the first is basically to go to contact any of our sellers. If you check out our website or our social media page, you will have the opportunity to get in touch. There are time slots there that you can choose to be able to set an appointment. Even before you do that, if you wish to know more, there are a lot of write-ups already in our materials, and you can actually download some of them, like the pictures, the videos. They are available in our websites and our social media. Once you're able to get in touch with our our sellers will contact you at the time that you have requested and provide you more materials that you may wish. They can also do a dedicated presentation. They can also send some printed brochures if you wish to be more comprehensive. So those are actually available. Now, they can also provide you the materials that are needed for booking, because all of these are available in digital formats. And they can guide you through step by step on how to fill them up and what are the other supporting documents that you have to submit. We can also do very instantaneous payment because we are connected online. We have a online payment facility where you do it at the comfort of your home. You don't have to surrender the CVV numbers to us. So we will not be able to view that, but you can still continue to pay that and make sure that your numbers or your passwords are protected.
Thank you, Henry. Now that sums up today's session, a Lamudi webinar titled How to Choose a Property to Invest in During a Pandemic. This webinar is in partnership with RHK Land, and during this session we've uncovered some learnings about this joint venture. Today, we've talked about value appreciation and the Velaris Residences as its pilot project. For our viewers today, if you are interested or have any questions about the property, please feel free to get in touch directly by reaching out to RHK Land or by leaving a comment below. Now, once again, my name is Deborah of Lamudi Philippines, and joining me today are two representatives, Mr. Lee Chee Hoe, Chief Representative of Hong Kong Land, and Mr. Henry Yap, Business Unit General Manager of Robinson's Land and President of RHK Land Corporation. Thank you.